Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking some of the source material you sent over prompted by a review of sites like Wearnic.com, and we're going to try and turn it into an essential safety blueprint. We're diving deep into how you can quickly vet an unfamiliar online store before, taking that leap of faith. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission here isn't just about listing warnings. It's to build a really clear, actionable checklist for consumer due diligence.
That's exactly right. It's about spotting those patterns of, well, potential market instability or maybe even phantom operations. When you find a price that seems too good to be true, this becomes a critical thinking exercise. We're focusing on the retailer's transparency, not really the quality of the item itself.
Right. So let's start with phase one, the most visible part,
Mm,
the product listing. The first, and I think the loudest, signal is pricing. The source material points out that if a branded, expensive item is being sold at a discount, there's just way steeper than anywhere else, like 70 or 80% off.
mm,
That huge difference alone should, flip the investigative switch.
precisely. That enormous discount is often the hallmark of what's called a phantom stock operation. It's a very common pattern where the site really only exists to capture capital.
You don't actually have the
They
inventory.
don't hold the inventory. And tied right into that, you have to look closely at the product images. Are they high quality? Are they unique to the site?
Or do they just look like they've been copied from somewhere else?
Exactly. Sometimes with slightly distorted logos or watermarks still on them.
So if the product visuals are stolen, it suggests they're hiding something about the item. And I guess it follows that we need to check what they're hiding about the company itself.
And that moves us right into phase two, corporate transparency. This is, I would argue, the most critical step.
Okay.
A legitimate, stable retailer will share verifiable business details. We're talking about a full legal company name, registration details, and a clear physical address on their About Us or contact pages.
And the absence of that is a huge red flag.
A very high-risk indicator. And when they do give you an address, you can't just trust it.
Right, the source material was really clear on this. You have to use a tool like Google Maps to actually see what's there.
Absolutely. You have to actively try to verify it. So often, this simple check reveals the location is a random residential home or an empty warehouse.
Or one of those virtual office boxes.
Yes, a box shared by dozens of unrelated businesses. That instantly tells you there's no real physical infrastructure.
And what about other contact info beyond just the address?
Well, look at the email address they provide. If the only way to contact them is a generic service like Gmail or Yahoo, that really disrupts the trust model.
Because a real company would have its own domain.
Legitimate retailers invest in infrastructure. Their email and their phone number should be tied directly to their business domain. It shows they're committed to the operation.
Okay, so that leads us to the final phase, phase three, which is all about external validation. You need more than one perspective here.
You do. You cannot rely only on the reviews that are hosted on the retailer's own website.
So you have to search elsewhere.
You must search independent platforms. Think Trustpilot, SiteJabber, sites like that. And here's where it gets really interesting. You connect the domain age to the feedback you find.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Use a simple domain checker tool. If a website was created just, say, 6 months ago, but it somehow has thousands of glowing, super detailed reviews everywhere,
That timeline doesn't match up.
it's a clear inconsistency. That combination suggests you need to be extremely cautious before you proceed. If we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding these operational patterns, the phantom stock, the borrowed images, the unverified locations, all this provides the foundational research for real consumer protection.
So what this really all means is always start with that price comparison. Then use external tools like Google Maps and a domain checker to verify the business itself. And finally, you have to confirm with independent reviews. Just make sure the story adds up, that the age of the site makes sense with the volume of its feedback. Now for final thought for you to mull over. The material also brought up the post-purchase question. Beyond the prevention steps we just talked about, what specific consumer protection rules or even payment options, like the difference between using a credit card versus debit card, offer the strongest fallback position when you're assessing the financial risk of a purchase from a store you've never heard of? Something to look into.